But let's talk about the lower midfield battle. I mean, it's very close between the guys from second to fourth, but also let's give a little mention to the guys sixth to eighth. I think Williams probably broken away from that now. It's hard to see any of the guys behind them catching them, but Aston Martin, Racing Bulls, and Sauber not out of this at all, despite having a bit of a poor run recently. There's only about 17 points between them, and in fact, to be fair, Haas as well coming into their home race. They're not completely out of it either. It's quite tight between those teams, Owain, and it might not be the headline news, but especially with McLaren being confirmed as constructors champions now, it is important to these teams because this makes the difference of tens, $20 million in prize money. It can be absolutely massive for them, especially as we head into a regulation set change next year. Who's looking the favourites for that sixth? Would you say at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, also it's important to note that vitally important, the cost cap's gone up, but it's been raised, ahead of inflation. Kick Sauber get a little bit more just because they're in Switzerland and the cost of everything there is higher. But coming back to the question that you asked, yeah, I gotta say it sort of seems like an easy answer to go with Racing Bulls, but it does seem that with their driver lineup at least, and or at least one half of it, I would say that the car seems the easiest to drive. Obviously, they've extracted the most points thus far, but just looking at the other cars, obviously that Sauber had that sort of spike in pace, a few races ago, and then has sort of dropped back off. Aston Martin, sometimes peak into the top 10 with Alonso generally. Haas look okay, but they're usually squabbling at the back of the midfield. And as much as they're not out of it, I think it's a long way for them to climb to approach Racing Bulls. So I think Racing Bulls have, as much as it's only 4 points and, anything can happen, all you have to have is an errant safety car that ruins your race and, or a collision with someone, with other driver that's not paying, the most attention, and it can all change. So I think they're, all being well, that Racing Bulls, they seem to have the best package thus far. But I think obviously you can't count out Aston Martin for the reasons I've just said. I think Sauber are probably and Haas, to be perfectly honest, are probably quite a ways away. And as you say, I don't think there's any catching Williams, and I think Williams know that and are probably similar to McLaren, funnily enough, all in on 2026. But yeah, as you say, it's a huge battle. But I think it's kind of over. And knowing Formula One, it will probably prove me wrong because that's how it is. But yeah, out of those four, I think Racing Bulls have the biggest ability to be, leaving with a bigger points advantage than they started with.
Yeah, anything can happen in Formula One, and it usually does. But I do think that Williams are probably going to be safe there. It's not insurmountable by any means, but at the rate that those teams are usually scoring, the fact that Williams still managed to get points despite both of their drivers being at the back in Singapore, I think they're going to pick up enough points between now and the end of the season, even if the taps have been turned off in terms of development. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's Racing Bulls and Aston Martin, very, very close, just 4 points between them. And I would probably wager that Aston Martin will beat Racing Bulls just because of the Alonso factor. But then you've also got the negative multiplier that is the Stroll factor too. So, those could cancel each other out, and Lawson and Hadjar could get safe. Who knows? We'll have to see.